January 2nd, 2013. Oh great. Frederick has been on my blog again. I must say I'm not surprised. In fact, nothing surprises me anymore. It all just feels natural. Anyways, as I promised, I watched the second part of The Followers. It begins where the first part of The Followers left off, with Frederick's sane side coming back, and him looking at the news in disbelief. However, what isn't shown on the news broadcast is one of the followers admitting who he's working for, and where Frederick is located. It cuts to a live police raid, where a news reporter is standing in front of the slaughterhouse reporting on it. Frederick looks outside, and notices the police cars and news station vans. He quickly runs into the darkness and puts his mask back on, hoping to not be found. The police break in and begin hunting for him, while shouting insults at him at the same time. Forensic begins to come back out, and Frederick tries to fight him off, while staying hidden at the same time. Eventually, he gives out, and Forensic rises and takes out his knife, walking with a demented smirk on his face. He begins to attempt to murder the several police officers, but gets hit with tear gas, knocking him out. The news report is shown recording the police carrying Frederick's body into the squad car. Several children are seen being released from the slaughterhouse, reuniting with their parents. It cuts to live footage of one of the news reports, announcing several details, such as Frederick being the director of a rare Nickelodeon show, and him being responsible for many, many deaths over the past 5 years. For some reason, Danny is seen giving a smug smile while Frederick is being driven away by the officers. While many of the kids' parents talk to different cameras. A bunch of tapes, which I assume are the third season of Appy, besides Forensic Rises, are being carried out. The scene fades out after what feels like the most satisfying scene in the entire history of Appy. However, like some people say, all good things must come to an end. This is where the real footage ends, and the fake movie footage begins. It abruptly cuts to a sane Frederick, wearing a stereotypical police uniform, on an electric chair. He isn't wearing the costume he normally wears, and has a grim look on his face. He begs the officers to let him go, because it was his split personality that did all the murders. The two officers in the room exchange confused glances, and before they can say anything, Forensic comes back, and insults the two officers. They quickly fry Forensic, with clearly fake blood flying out of his eyes and mouth. The scene goes on for a droning 2 minutes, with the same footage being repeated over and over until Frederick finally dies. The title of the episode quickly flies in front of the image of Frederick's fried corpse. After this scene, a follower who wasn't arrested or killed gets very pissed off, and proceeds to murder a stunt double acting as Danny. A car is seen riding up a hill, with Frederick's dead body in the back of it. The two police officers dig a hole, and throw his dead body in it, not even bothering to bury him. They look at his body with angry looks, and drive off. A storm begins, with lightning, rain, and hail going in every direction. In what is actually a pretty good special effect, lightning strikes Frederick, and for a few seconds, nothing happens. Frederick literally rises from the hole, which must be where they got the footage for the Forensic Rises promo, and lets out a disturbing cackle. He runs down the road, but not before grabbing a stick. A day later, Frederick is shown sharpening the stick into a spear in a forest, which looks like the same one from the early episodes of Appy. He does not have a mask, and has a prison jumpsuit instead of his costume. Frederick hears a twig snap in the woods, which came from a group of hunters. He quickly lunges at them with the spear, stabbing each of them. After stealing their clothing and weapons, Frederick travels to the spot he buried Appy. He digs up Happy's dead body, which is literally a rotten apple, just zoomed in on. Frederick takes out an old book, repeats a few verses, and the body begins glowing. However, the glowing stops, and a pissed-off Frederick reburies Happy. Happy's arm breaks through the dirt like a zombie, and climbs out of the grave. Once he dusts the dirt off him, he remembers what Forensic did to him in the second circus episode, and refuses to talk to him. Frederick says that since Danny is dead, they can both live in peace, and murder people like they used to. Appy quickly has a change of heart, and tells Frederick that a new park opened up, so they can kill some kids there. Once they leave, it zooms to the grave of the soulless Happy, who sticks his arm out of the grave. It cuts to a montage of Happy and Forensic stalking and murdering children, in one of the most sickening snuff scenes in the entire series, if not the worst. Ugh. The only thing that made this scene less painful was that very happy music that was playing. After that shocking display, Frederick suggests they murder one of the police officers who tried to kill him. Happy agrees, and the two are seen quietly stalking one of the officers in their home. They look at him through the air vents, and before they can do anything, he screams. Seeing Frederick with a deranged smile on his face, they both jump out, and they stab the officer clean through the face. making blood shoot out of every angle. They both high-five each other and agree that this will be their new home, since Frederick burned down the last home they lived in. Another montage of the two decorating the house with blood statues, images from Season 3 episodes, and Napoleon the 14th album spread all over the place, as well as an abandoned sign on the front door. They also find the officer's lighter and set Danny's rotting corpse on fire, and a picture of me on fire. This is where things really start getting fucked up. Frederick begins to shove raw body parts into a fridge for a feast with the followers. When Happy walks in, he tells him that he needs a new suit, or he will be caught by the police again. Frederick tells him that they will do something tomorrow. During this time, the soulless Happy Appy is shown eavesdropping on the conversation. Finally, he runs at Frederick with a cleaver. Screaming, Frederick gets a sledgehammer and bats the soulless Happy Appy to the side. Happy says, "I'll save you, Frederick!" and starts fighting the soulless Happy Appy with a knife. After the fight scene, the soulless Happy Appy is about to kill Happy, when Frederick grabs a large piece of wood and crushes the soulless Happy against the wall. As Happy applies bandages to himself, Frederick starts to cut up the soulless Happy for the feast. Eventually, it cuts to a large dinner table, where the followers sit. The entirety of the table is covered with cooked human meat, as they begin eating it for 10 minutes, while Frederick tells them what their next plans are. Finally, it cuts to a day later, where a kindergarten class is having recess. In the bushes, Frederick and Happy Appy are lurking around with sickening smiles. I could already see where this was going. My assumptions were right, as they bolt out of the bushes with knives and begin stabbing every kid on the playground. Already 2 snuff scenes in less than 30 minutes. The second one was more sickening when compared to the other. Some of that stuff was traumatizing, and I certainly hope those were just really good special effects. One of the teachers runs out and begins trying to save them. Happy pulls out a shotgun and shoots the teacher in the head. More followers come out and run into the school, possibly to murder the kids inside. All of a sudden, the police arrive, and quickly get offed by the followers. Forensic calls for Happy to jump into the van, while dead bodies are visible in the back. They drive off with the remaining police trying to shoot out their tires. At home, Forensic has made a sickening mask out of one of the children's faces, while Happy laughs violently in the background. Oddly enough, this scene loops for nearly 10 minutes with the audio glitching out, colors inverting, the VHS quality getting worse, and the snuff photos being cut in between. Finally, the movie abruptly ends with a loud piano sound effect and with the words, "The End, by Frederick Gorgotte," being shown. Compared to the last episodes, this was awfully short, at 1 hour and 5 minutes. But that's good for me, because I couldn't take any more snuff scenes. I'm not going to sleep tonight. I don't want Frederick to slowly murder me in my sleep. I want to live to see this man die. January 4th, 2013. Jim Forrester got back from his family reunion. Right after he came back, I showed him the second movie. Like me, he was angered by it. After that, we found out that the playground is close to where we live, so we decided that we should go visit it for evidence. Once we arrived, there were, unsurprisingly, kids playing there. We ended up waiting until dark to start investigating. The area surrounding the playground was mostly covered with bark, but under one log, there was what looked like a human finger. In the woods close by, there was a broken camera in the bushes. What was there must have been taken by the police. However, that brings me to the main question of this entry. How does Frederick get away with all these murders? Based on what I've seen, these murders were indeed real, but somehow, the massacre of an entire playground of children doesn't even get a speck of discussion in even my part of the world. January 6th, 2013. Today was completely awful. I swear Frederick is hiding in my attic. Every night I hear the same running and laughing. Last night I saw him licking his lips and looking in on me through the air vents. I wanted to grab my shotgun and blow his head off, but I was just frozen in terror. Frederick keeps staring at me for the next few hours until he finally went back into hiding. He wasn't wearing his usual mask, or any mask for that matter. He looked almost like he did when he was sane, in fact. I absolutely got no sleep that night, and I had to go to work in paranoia that Frederick would be hiding in the back seat, ready to kill me. At work, I saw that everyone there was depressed and barely spoke any words. Finally, I spoke up and asked what was going on, and apparently one of my coworkers was murdered by a lunatic in the night. This was Frederick's doing. I just know it. Also, remember when I said I found that broken camera in the woods? Well, it turns out that camera is still in working condition. It consists of many corrupted videos, though. I will work on fixing them sometime soon. January 7th, 2013. A fan sent me 2 CDs of the alleged soundtrack for Happy Appy. The jewel case that the CD came in said, "Superb Schizophrenic Songs, the soundtrack of Happy Appy," and had a picture of the followers on it, acting like they were an old-fashioned jazz band. On the back was the listing, just like most DVDs. Written on the first CD said, Season 1 Second-Rate Songs, and featured a decent quality music from Season 1. The order of the tracks went like this. Track 1, Theme Song of Happy Appy, Synthesizer. Track 2, Bothering Bully. Track 3, Tinderbox, one of 2 borrowed songs from John Presti's Hidalgo. Track 4, Circus Calliope, the circus music heard in Happy Appy Goes to the Circus. Track 5, Happy Appy Helps Those Kids. Track 6, Theme of Happy Appy, Acoustic. Track 7, The Happy Dance. Track 8, Production Reel Piano. Track 9, Music Piece Number 21, the other song from Hidalgo. Track 10, Theme Song of Happy Appy, Piano. Track 11, Theme of Happy Appy, Production Reel. The second CD was called The Amazing Music of Forensic and Company. The music had 3 copies of that fucking annoying song from Napoleon XIV, as well as some songs by musicians who had schizophrenia. The tracking, Track 1, They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. Track 2, Pow R, Talk H. Track 3, I Whip Spider-Man's Ass. Track 4, Love and Mercy. Track 5, Window Licker. Track 6, Revolution 9. Track 7, They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. Rough Draft. Track 8, Snarin'. The snare from A Day in the Tracks. Track 9, A Very Gloomy Sunday. Track 10, They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha, cover. Track 11, I Whip Spider-Man's Ass, cover. When I listened to every track, I took some notes if I found something interesting. Here they are. 1. The theme of Happy Appy is probably the lowest quality track on the entire album, but is better quality than most of the episodes I watched. 2. Tinderbox in Music Piece Number 21 has the same breathing over the tracks. The original DVD didn't have breathing, so it must have been added in by mistake by a follower. 3. Snarin' was the longest track in the album, at 8 minutes and 5 seconds. It fades out 4 times during the song. During the song, various sound effects were thrown in. They include pink noise, DTMF tones, and a weird click track. 4. The cover of I Whip Spider-Man's Ass was sung by Frederick, and had every instance of Spider-Man replaced with my name. What the hell is up with the followers? January 12th, 2013. Sorry for not uploading as often, but, some things have happened recently. The real Frederick, or at least many of his followers, may have died sometime during the week. I was present during the robbery of a local convenience store, but instead of just one guy stealing money, it was a guy and his friends who held us hostage. None of them had masks, and I recognized a few of the followers. Personally, one of them I immediately recognized was the person who was responsible for a drive-by shooting in my area. When the police arrived, I was knocked out unconscious by Frederick. They attempted to shoot and kill several of the people. I'm not sure if they succeeded or not. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. They told me I was nearly shot in the head by the followers. Several bruises I obtained were discovered, but I'm just glad I was okay. Post 2. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. The footage is clean enough for me to watch. Basically, it's just the extended rough cut of the followers part 2, in even lower quality. I discovered how they got the special effects for the movie done. For the playground murder scene, they just used blood packs and stabbed at them. The shotgun effects were obtained with a flare gun being fired, spliced in with an older woman pretending to scream and fall over. I also found out why the rotten finger was there. Turns out that one of the kids got angry during filming, stole Frederick's knife, ran up to him, and stabbed him through the little finger. Frederick literally treats it like nothing and cuts it off just to freak out the kid. One of the more disturbing details is that apparently the first snuff scene is real. The playground was a recreation. A very specific one. Great. Now I can rest knowing that children were murdered for a 1-hour snuff episode. I've considered sending it in to the police, but if they find out, I could be in deep trouble. Why do I write this blog? Well, I feel like this is the only form of communication left. I can't leave the house anymore. Skype doesn't work that well. Jim hasn't spoken to me lately, and I'm too paranoid to talk to anyone. I've restricted access of my blog to a few people, but I do not want to call the police. God knows what will happen if Frederick hears he's being hunted down. Goodbye, I'm going to check the attic, basement, and I'm going to bed. That's what this is now. Paranoia and blogging in fear. Yeah.